had like this passion for art that just couldn't be quenched. I'm Tanner Fenner. I am the president of VASS, the Visual Arts Student Society, and a second year in the Art and Design program at the Medicine College. I literally was born and raised in Medicine Hat and just have been here my whole life, which is another reason I want to get out of Medicine Hat. Maybe not permanently, but the goal is eventually to move to BC, live out of the van possibly, we'll see, but that's the goal, that's the goal. So like long-term goals, I want to go into painting full-time basically. I've tried a lot of the graphic design, it's not really up my alley, so anything fine arts based like charcoal, 3D sculpture, but painting is definitely like my passion for sure. I don't know, I've always kind of been inspired by art. I've always enjoyed doing it since I was a kid. I had a couple friends when I first moved out that actually pursued a career in art, which very much inspired me to do the same thing. I think the main thing that pushed me to do it academically though was, before this, I was a journeyman pipe fitter. And there were ups and downs with that trade, and I found it just wasn't the place for me. And I was still had like this passion for art that just couldn't be quenched. So I was like, either I spend 12 hours a day at work, come home and do a little bit of art, or I just fully give myself over to it and go to college for it. So that was my decision. I decided to go to college. Like I want to make something that's gonna be long lasting and make my life more enjoyable too, because that's like the main thing for it is like, I really enjoy art. And if I can do something I enjoy for the rest of my life, what better use of life is there really? So my approach and style really hasn't changed a ton. It's become more refined, but I wouldn't say that I even have a style. Like there's so many different types of art that I'm being introduced to daily, and I kind of want to experiment with all of them and see what jives with me, what doesn't, what I have fun doing, what I don't. So I'd say it's just more so an expansion of style rather than like a change in style. Probably death and psychedelics the most. My background, I don't come from a very great background, so there's a lot of mental health issues that I go through personally, and so a lot of that focuses on death, and then a lot like younger years, like 4 or 5 years ago, I was pretty heavily into psychedelics. So a lot of my art comes from an amalgamation of both those things, kind of. One of the ones I always remember is the Tool cover albums. They're just incredible, right? So normally I find that when I'm in the creative process, I usually start with thumbnails. A lot of the times I use like just sketching. I just sketch them out. Like I don't really like using Photoshop or collaging or anything. I like taking things from my own mind and then creating them. And maybe for this, like I got a reference of a bird, right? And I would sketch that out and try doing that a few times before I was comfortable with it. And then I basically just dive right into the process. And because there's always a new thing to like learn with painting, it's just kind of like put paint on the canvas and just see if it looks right. If it doesn't, you just keep going in further and further and further. The only thing I find is an issue is sometimes time constraints, you know, because we're all trying to meet deadlines in these classes. So there's always, I always love painting though, because there's always so much more you can like do and so much more you can go into with it, right? It's like never easy to meet a deadline, and they get tighter and tighter every year, it feels, honestly. This is the thing is like, my artistic influences are mainly people around me. I would say when I was in high school, like Van Gogh, when I saw his work, I was like, wow, that's like breathtaking. That is like awe-inspiring for sure. But I think a lot of the people around me, like my friend Moira, she was a huge artistic inspiration because I saw her work day and night to try and fulfill that passion within her. And then her dad as well is like incredibly artistic, and I saw like him going into tin working and not pursuing his art career, and that was like a sad thing, but also like inspired me to not want to do that. Like wanting to be like, okay, I have this passion for art, I want to be able to pursue it. Same with my dad. My dad is incredibly artistic, incredibly talented, does leatherworking, woodworking, a whole ton of stuff with his hands. He's always just been that hardworking guy, and I'm like, I want to be able to put myself into my artistic career like he does with his, you know what I mean? Luckily, I do have like an awesome group for VASS. My VP is always willing to help, like my secretary is always there, my social media, and then everyone else that's involved that's always like able to do posters for me, able to set up events, even just coming and giving their ideas at meetings. Like I have an awesome group. It is still a lot to maintain and keep track of, especially with 5 courses, 4 of them being studio courses that are 3 hours a piece, twice a week, and the homework on top of that. I had never worked with clay before. I came in and I was like, I'm going big. Like, my project was literally the largest in that class, probably double the scales of most people. I've had to make it in 5 or 6 different pieces. I had to make the legs separately, the arm separately, actually each hand was made separately as well, the torso was made separate, and then the head. So I had to make all these parts and then also connect them all together while making sure it was properly balanced and not going to fall in on itself because you have to hollow it out after. And then on top of that, our instructor that year, something happened with the clay that he previously bought. So he had to go through a new manufacturer and get different types of clay. So he got 2 different types of clay, 1 for each class. Our class unfortunately got the worst grade of clay. What ended up happening was everything cracked. Everything fell apart. The soldier has fingernails, so I had to make those fingernails by molding them to a spoon and then sticking them on individually with slip and scoring them. Every single one fell off at least once, maybe twice. And then so I had to reattach those. The leg fell apart twice, the foot fell off once, the entire arm cracked down the side. The antenna that comes out of the head of the soldier fell off, broke off into 6 different pieces. It was just a lot, and I feel like that was probably my most challenging project, just because of like everything that fell apart. I feel like the actual making it wasn't so bad, but when everything keeps falling apart on you, it gets very frustrating. I learned to buy better clay. Yeah. When I got home with it, so I left it here for the entire year for 2 months, and then I took it home, and the second I took it home, I set it outside my door to open the door, and there was a rock that was protruding up, and the foot just snapped right in half. So I got that foot back on, but now I need to repaint it just black where the seam is. New techniques or materials? Not really. More so just like trying to fine-tune painting more than anything. That's really about it. I do want to try getting into like heavy body like paints because I've never used those before when we have the money. The thing about college is it costs a ton, and I don't have a ton to go like buying new supplies to try new things right now. So it's more so refining what I already have. Even college is like a step out from my norms because a lot of what I did before this was like pencil crayon drawings and acrylic pours and stuff like that. So it was, acrylic pours are very simplistic. There's like certain degrees of skill that go into them, but they're generally pretty simplistic to make. And then pencil crayon, like I did like very small scale stuff. I'd say the biggest change for me is maybe like the size and scale that I'm going to now, because like our next project is like 4 feet by 4 feet, which to some is small, but to me, like the largest I've ever went is 3 feet by 2. So it's like always trying to figure out how to work with scale on larger and larger scales is always like an interesting thing. And that's probably one of the biggest things, is just getting used to the scale that you're working on. Honestly, I just want people to be able to observe my work and take what they want from it. I think long-term, Medicine Hat is kind of one of those communities that we do have like some arts here, but I feel like it doesn't flourish as much as in other places, which it would be nice if people came out and like checked out the galleries, which is like one of the biggest parts of VASS too, which is, you know, like I want to send posters out to Esplanade and Trex and try and get more of the community engaged in those kind of things, because like we do put like our all into the work that we do here at the college. So I'd say that's probably one of the biggest ways to get community integrated, is like through my participation at the college rather than like my own personalized work. Just getting like more Medicine Hat artists noticed. I don't know. I feel like when it comes to viewership of art, I feel like people are gonna take from it that they want to, you know? I could say that I want them to be able to read my mind perfectly and exactly what the crow in eating the intestines means or anything like that. But I also understand that in reality, people aren't. And I think that's almost the beauty of art, is the fact that everyone's gonna go have their own reaction to it. I feel like the fact of being able to make someone feel something, whether that's positive or negative, maybe they're repulsed by this, for instance, I feel like just feeling those emotions is what art is about. This recent project, we had to go to a Home Depot or a Rona, some sort of construction store, and we had to go to their paint section and grab out 5 paint swatches. And then we took inspiration from those names of the paint swatches, and that was supposed to be like our, not like our main color for it, but like maybe our highlight color for it, something that popped, you know what I mean? This project, I picked 5 different colors. The one I went with was called Berries Galore. So it made me think of like berries in overabundance, but then I was like, well, that's maybe a little too literal. But the thing about having something in abundance makes me think of gluttony, right? Like our overconsumption as people that we do every single day, whether that be food, consumerism, anything like that. I decided to go with a crow eating out the intestines of a body that's, you can tell with like the skin and the coloring to it that it's been sitting there a while. So it's like this bird has so much food, it's hanging out of his mouth, he can't even eat it all. And also the body's been sitting there for days because he's just been eating, you know, so much, and like it never ends, basically. It's a never-ending food supply. I'd say one of the proudest parts of this painting, I really like the clouds. I don't really do landscapes a whole ton, so I do quite like the technique and what I did for those. I also really like the subtle shadings that happen in the corpse itself. Like there's a bunch of like little purple hues and stuff that you can see when you really dig in close to it, and I really like that about it. Our next gallery is going to be called the Dreamscape Gallery. It's based on people's ideas, fantasies, dreams, or nightmares, even fictional worlds such as like anime or books such as Harry Potter. You could go and put yourself into that reality, you know? So it's based on a idea of fantasy and creativity. I wanted this gallery to be very open-ended so that any student could come in with their work, or they could make it into a class project. And because we're so busy here, right, I wanted people to be able to really let their creativity flow and make basically anything they wanted to. So yeah, the Dreamscape Gallery will be happening on March 11th to the 27th. The reception night will be on the 20th at 7 p.m. It's gonna be a sweet gallery. I already know there's a lot of people, even in my painting class, that have started to make artworks for it and some of the drawings, so that's awesome to hear of. So the one-on-one gallery is at the Medicine Hat Cultural Center. It's right next to the Medicine Hat College. I can't remember the exact address, so forgive me for that one. But if you just type in Medicine Hat Cultural Center in your Google Maps, you will be able to find it. And then if you go to the center door, it is to the left, and you will see the one-on-one gallery with the soft seating area. Curio is basically open for all art and design students. It is a place for us as students to be able to promote and sell our art and get our names out there. It is all done by artists that are local or they've come here from out of town, and it's just an awesome experience to see like the up-and-coming artists of our generation, basically. It's a non-for-profit, so we don't take home any cash from these sales. It 100% goes to the artist. So not only are you seeing the up-and-coming generation, you're helping them obtain their dreams of becoming an artist and feel more fulfilled as an artist. If you want to check out VASS or Curio, we have Instagrams for the both of those, or you can reach us at vass@mymhc.ca. So go check those out, because we post stuff, we try to post stuff every couple weeks, and it'll keep you up to date on the items we have coming in and when we're open, and then what's going on with your art and design program around the college. Pursue art always and have a good time with it. That's the main thing. That's what we're here for. So